Hey guys, it's Tim from Game Twaddle.
And Dan?
And I'm Caleb.
Today we're here to talk to you about Space Base. So Space Base plays from 1 to 5, and to give it a really horrible descriptor, it is like Machi Koro except more. Sci-fi and more, right? So you're rolling dice, and then you're either going to take both of these numbers, or you are going to combine them.
So you could take the 6 and the 4,
right?
Which would be $2, or the 10, which in this case would be 1 income.
Okay. And you know what's weird is I think I rolled that while we were
in the
practicing.
Test. Yeah.
So that's weird. I guess next time we play, I'm taking that. I rolled it twice. I should get it right.
No, that makes sense.
Okay. So here we are going to break this game down. We're going to talk a little bit about different aspects of it. And just to give you guys an idea of what you think, and maybe you can decide if you like it. Okay, so the first category we're going to get into is accessibility. So how accessible is this for you to find? Like you walk into a game store and like just find it really easy. And then also, how hard is it to teach to people like maybe new gamers or old people?
Great descriptor. This is probably the easiest game to find on the market. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but hyperbolic, right? But this is, if you walk into a game store, there will be, almost any game store, there will be multiple copies of this game.
Sure.
At least when I last checked a couple months ago, right? I'm not 100% sure right now, but I would assume it hasn't changed too much.
Yeah, no,
right?
I feel like that's pretty solid. And then also, this game, in my experience, is very easy to teach. Especially like Machi Koro, if you play Machi Koro.
Have you played Machi Koro?
I actually haven't.
Oh,
okay.
I love Machi Koro. And I know that's not a popular opinion sometimes, but we'll do that when we do Machi Koro.
Sure.
But for now, so accessibility for me, this is like a 5 out of 5 because it is very easy to find and get your hands on a copy. And also like this is a game that I can teach to about anybody.
Gotcha.
So that's where I come down as far as accessibility. Is any...
I'm actually going to jump out of the gate right here off of your rating. I'm going to say a 4 out of 5 in accessibility for me.
Okay.
For two specific reasons.
Yes.
The first reason is that I really do not like this rulebook.
Oh, that's fair.
And I feel like a lot of people don't like this rulebook to the point to where it's even had, what's that word?
Errata put out?
Yeah, it's had an errata put out.
Sure.
And like, so this rulebook, it's okay. And it actually does have everything in it, but it's spaced awkwardly. From my experience, like, you know, go to page 1 to find out what you need to find on page 17 to find out.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's that kind of stuff. And I tend to be hyperbolic a lot.
No,
but
so I had the game taught to me. So I've never cracked this open. Full disclosure. But I've also never taught the game, so I feel like I'm okay having never.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you read the rule book and you're like, okay, this is kind of weird, like to actually officially learn kind of stuff. But then once you know how to play, it's like it's the easiest game to teach someone.
Sure.
Like, so that's why I say it's got to be a failing with the rule book.
Oh yeah, I will be the first one to ding a game for having a very bad rule book because I hate bad rule books. I hate them. And I love small, very concise rule books, but they also have to be very clear with what they say. And so, yeah, that's critical.
The second reason, and this goes along with the same rule book, is that there's a lot of cards like this in the game with this green double die arrow thing on it. And it's just a lot of people do not understand, including I've played this game many, many times, and I still every once in a while have to look up like, okay, so this means that you can take the total die, and then if you take it as the total die, you can take the number to the side of it. But if you split the dice, that doesn't do anything. And so it's and the rulebook does not do that.
And there's no like cheat sheets in here? I guess there's...
No, look, there's this thing. But people never understand.
Okay, fair.
Just never understand.
Fair.
But anyway, that's enough of that. That's why I would probably give it a 4. It's just because there's a couple things that do make it tough for some people who don't understand the system to catch on to.
Well, I won't
and some people that do. But overall, though, once you know how to play the game, it's insanely simple. Everyone starts with the same starting cards. You pick a color, you have the same starting cards. You have 3 currencies here. You have your money, right? Your credits, which is every card. Once you get to flip this card, there will be a pool of all these cards out here, and you just, on your turn, you buy
Spend
cards.
The credits and you buy your cards. You build your tableau, right?
Exactly.
So, getting into the cards now, out of components would be our next one that we'd like to talk about. So components, where do you come down on components? Like 1 to 5, 5 being, I love the components of this game, they're really awesome. 1 being like, why?
I have very few problems. I would say that the couple things would be that, and this is actually not going to show very nice. Most people don't play on this, right?
Sure.
You're playing on wood table. But taking your cards and sliding them under here on like a normal wood table gets kind of annoying, especially when you slide another card and another card and another card.
Sure.
And they start getting really difficult to read and
Sure.
stuff like that on a normal table. And if you bump it at all, they all get messed up. This is really nice. I need to start playing on this kind of stuff from now on.
So for me, and this is not as someone who owns the game, but has played it a bunch of times, while I like the player boards because they're really neat and they're very unique, and each player has one of these, right? They work off of, right? So I understand why the cards are this size.
Sure.
But I don't know what bugs the heck out of me.
Yeah, they definitely did not have to do that. That was a choice.
I mean, they did that because if you had playing size cards, our tableaus would be ridiculous.
I guess, but it's only because they picked 12 cards and everything.
Also true.
Like all their decisions kind of led to like, oh, well, we can have special cards.
This might be also an intentional design to make it unique and give the cards like something different. I mean, but overall, the card quality is really good. The boards are nice. I like different colored cubes. The dice are fun. They've got their own. Is that a 1?
Okay, so that's a component talk. So this is a 1. It's also the exact same image for victory points in the game.
So it's not an automatic victory point.
Yeah, so it's not everyone when you teach this game is like, oh, you get a victory. And it's like, no, they just for some reason use the exact same
you got to house rule
picture.
that. That's a victory point, clearly.
That would be interesting.
That's on you, AEG. You should have...
And I guess the last thing to mention on components is I believe by now, I haven't got it yet, but I believe they have finally come out with special sleeves for this game.
Okay,
They have official space-based sleeves so that you can sleeve this game if you want to do that.
I'm sure. But yeah, it does get a little messy stacking underneath.
Sure.
After a little while. But anyways, overall, I give it like a 4 out of 5 because there's enough uniqueness. There's a few things that like bother me, and I will fully admit that is me. What do you think, Caleb? Because this is having not played it.
Yeah. How does this board feel?
Yeah. Do those cubes smell good to you?
Oh boy.
No. So what I would say about components is they look pretty good. The big thing is that I really wish that this board here, at least on top, was double layered.
I knew he was going to say that, and I agree.
So that the cubes didn't have any kind of sliding potential.
At least in all the like checkpoints.
Right, because then obviously you bump it. If you bump a cube or whatever,
bump tables.
Exactly.
It happens.
And they go over. That's probably the biggest thing that I can think of that I would knock it for.
Sure,
I agree, and it's already an okay thickness board too. They could have done it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, also though, given the price point, I get it because the price point on this game is pretty reasonable.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm not without being in the industry and knowing exactly how much that would increase, it would, right?
Right.
And then also like how easily they would fold. I've never tried to fold a double layered board before. But anyways, I mean the components are pretty solid. The dice are decent, right? I mean they're unique enough. I like the cubes. The cards are a little funky, but the artwork's really nice. The style, I mean, it's stylized.
It's nice. It means nothing.
No.
Absolutely. The theme of this game is just pretty. Like you're like, oh, I got the USS scope. Doesn't mean anything.
That means nothing.
It means nothing.
You could be underwater ships. You could be farm animals.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
Actually, USS Scobie, that was my old dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was a farm animal?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so moving on into now the gameplay aspect of this. So for me, gameplay, I can't decide 100% because I play Machikoro. I like Machikoro because I can play it with like my nephews and stuff. Now it's not something I want to play for hours and hours and hours. And it doesn't like satisfy like that heavier gamer itch. But coming from that, like enjoying just sort of a brainless Machikoro game, this has more, and in a way that's more exciting, and then in a way like I want to just relax and play the game, and sometimes you can't with this because for me there's so much more to keep track of potentially. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
So I'm still formulating a number in my head because it is morphing and changing back and forth. So I want to hear what you say about gameplay and how it works out for you.
So I've got a question.
Yes.
As we get into gameplay, how do you win?
How do you win? Once someone hits 40 points, you finish the round.
Okay.
And then whoever has the most points at the end of the round wins.
So once somebody hits 40 points, it doesn't mean that person who hits 40 points will win.
Exactly.
I see.
It's actually very tactical, right? To time, like if you're the last person in turn order, you want to hit 40 points your turn
Right.
because you're the last person.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of stuff. If you're first, you're like, man, I don't know if I want to hit 40 points this turn. He's really close.
You're going to give other people a chance to bump
Yeah.
up on these tracks.
I see.
Exactly, and usually people just keep track with the white cubes of how much you go over because there's no really built-in
see.
way to do that.
Sure.
But so while we're thinking of numbers, though, I'll explain really quickly how the game plays, right? So there's going to be cards out here, and you're going to use. Everyone starts with the same cards, and you start with a random card that you draw from the one, and it replaces your starting card and goes in that spot. So this is important because this explains that on your turn, when you roll the dice, he explained a little bit. So you can take the 5 and the 2, and the blue area is your turn, right? So the 5 and the 2, or the 7. In this case, the 7 is better. The red is if you rolled a 12, I would get the red up here.
Now, does he also get this red as well?
No.
Okay.
So the red down here means nothing. That's just because it flips.
Oh,
so
got
as the
it.
card
That's
goes up here. So if I keep getting 12s, like I could focus 12s, and that could be my whole strategy. And then whenever someone rolls a 12, I get a bunch of stuff. Right? So every time you replace a card, you're getting more on the opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
So the game starts with opponent's turns being very boring, and your turn being exciting, and you
Right.
get stuff. But as you get later game, you literally don't care about your turn. You're just like, okay, I get 5 points. Okay, what happens on your turn? Because you're just getting all this
You're
stuff.
getting the better benefits
Yeah, exactly.
later on the
Okay.
secondary version.
There's 3 currencies. There is credits, which is just how much the actual cards cost to buy. Income is, so basically, when you spend credits, this card only costs 4. Let's say I have 13 credits. I spend 4, and then at the end of my turn, this resets to 0 anyway. You lose your money every turn.
Spend
So
it.
the point of income is if my income's at 5, my money technically drops to 0, but then at the start of my turn, it goes back up to 5.
I see.
So that's income. And then obviously blue is just victory points, and like we said, first to 40 ends the game. But that's basically it, other than the actual card effects and stuff that I don't really want to go over right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's its
so-
whole thing. And it's good though, right? It's a really neat engine builder.
Yeah.
As you get going and you're kind of building this
Right.
thing up and you watch it fire. And again, the fun part for me in this game and like Machikoro is when you're watching other people's
Exactly.
die rolls like a hawk, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah, this is definitely a game where
And-
someone like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. What
Yeah.
did he roll? It's just like, you're lost.
Yeah.
like, just
See
like,
ya.
pay attention.
see you later.
But,
Don't have time for you.
So I will actually say now
Yes.
to butt in for what did you call this category? Just
Oh,
gameplay.
gameplay. How do you rate gameplay? Where does it come down
I
for
would
you?
probably give it a 4
Okay.
because the game's really good. This is my wife's favorite game.
Sure.
She's constantly asking me to play Space Base, and the new expansion's out. We haven't got it yet, and she's like, we got to get it.
Right.
But the couple things of this is there is not as much player interaction as I would like. The player interaction is, kind of, it's like the Machikoro and like this kind of games where you just see what the opponent rolls and that impacts your turn.
Right.
But that's basically it. I know that there are cards in Machikoro. I honestly don't know if they're in base
Oh,
game.
yeah.
But there are cards in Machikoro where it's like, okay, well, when I get money this turn, instead of taking it from the pool, I take someone else's money. Like, they
Yes.
have to lose money, so I
Yes,
gain money.
yes.
And there's just none of that really
Sure.
in this game that
And
I
some
can
people
think
like
of.
that and some people don't.
Sure.
Right.
I
But
don't
this is-
like...
This is solitaire, but
Exactly.
not solitaire because you do benefit from other people getting their.
And I don't like overly mean games,
Sure.
right? But just a little bit more in this game, like
Gotcha.
a little bit more of
So that
like
makes it a
almost take
4.
that.
That's what
I
makes
think
it a
so.
4 out of 5.
There's probably other small things, but the biggest thing to me that I do think takes it down a whole number is that it does, when you're playing, it's very fun, but it feels like you're playing a solitaire game and watching other people also play a fun solitaire game.
Right, right.
You know?
And I think for me, it's really like a 4 and a very just right at 4 for me. Because some of it is, yes, it's a solitaire game. The other knock that I have on it, and this has just been my personal experience, is that the game, for me, feels like it goes on a little too long sometimes.
Oh, really?
Not all the time, but sometimes it's like, okay, like, come on, like, let's just go. And now also, again, my personal experience, but you got people in my group and we harass them, but they take too long to pick out what card they want to buy.
Sure.
And I understand, right? You're building an engine, you want it to fire a certain way, but I also don't only want to play this tonight. Like, I want to play the next game, right? And I like to win, but this is a game that I play to have fun and experience. that is not one that I come out like super cutthroat and crazy on. I do agree. Like, if it had a little more player interaction where...
Which just make it more interesting.
Like,
right?
oh, if you roll a 5, you're paying me, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I do like that in some games. And I know, and it's frustrating to be on the receiving end of that. But for me, like that, if that's part of the dynamic when you sit down to play the game, I'm good with it. And I know some people aren't. So for me, yeah, it's lacking a few things. But I mean, for the most part, this game is very fun.
I'll say one last thing, jumping off of your critique right there, is that I don't feel like usually it goes too long, right? Especially, this is one of the games to me that if you play with 2 players or 4 players, it doesn't really gain too much time. It just depends on who you're playing with, right? But the one thing is that there is a card in the game that is just whenever someone rolls it, and it's, you know, it's an okay number. I don't know if it's a 7 or a 5 or, you know, it's somewhere in this middle area that gets rolled quite often. It's literally just whenever you roll that, everyone else loses 4 victory points.
Oh.
And it's just like, once someone buys that card, it's like, okay, we're spending an extra hour playing this game because now no one can get to 40.
And I maybe I shouldn't say that it goes too long. It's just that by the time that this game is done, I am like ready to be done.
Okay.
And I don't.
I can
so
see that.
maybe it seems longer.
Okay.
And I don't get it, and I don't have a good explanation why. But like from here to here, I'm having a great time. And from here to here, I'm like, okay, can this just be done?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this game needs to, you know, cap out there instead. I don't know why. It's just in my own headspace.
Going on the end of the game right here, I guess I should explain one last gameplay thing, is that these cards right here are always out, and these are literally just straight victory points. So there's a big strategy that people do where they just get to the end of the game, get a bunch of money, and just buy victory.
Sure.
You know, especially if you're the last person in turn order, like I was talking about, that's a very legit strategy.
That when you buy that card, that pushes your cube up. It's not like a Catan hidden victory point.
Yeah, no, the second you buy this card, the thing that's interesting about this is the second you buy this card, it just gives you 14 points instantly, but now you can never replace this card again. It kind of kills this spot for your turn.
Sure.
So you can buy a bunch of these and slowly buy victory, but it means that you can do almost nothing else on your turn, which means you're going to be getting less and less money.
Right. No, that makes sense. That's a good balance.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I should explain this mechanic is kind of... It's almost like they knew the ending went on too long, and they're like, let's give them a way to just instantly end the game.
Sure. Well, thanks for validating my point of view.
Anytime. I do my best.
So, price and value, just to generally talk about it, like this game is very well priced.
Yeah.
If you go in and find
it
it
on
on
an A+.
If you find it in a
that's not the metric.
Oh, you're right.
Store, yeah, that's what we're going off of now. A 5 out of A's. Like, that makes no sense. But for me, I don't own the game, and there's not a good reason that I don't. I will end up with this game in my collection, and when I do, I will keep it. But I also own Machikoro, and I will always keep my Machikoro because I love it, and I have a good time with it. So for me, this is really a 5 out of 5 because this is for what I get out of the game. And yeah, I complain and whine about the ending, but I still play it. And I don't complain and whine while we're playing it. I just like afterwards, I'm like, oh,
at least not this game.
Right. But, I mean, really, for what you get and the amount of game in there, there's a solo mode that's really nice. So for me, that adds value. And if this, again, you kind of have to like this kind of game, or this has to be interesting to you. But if you're not like a super heavy gamer, or you're fine not always being a super heavy gamer, like this is there's enough crunch in here, right, to kind of keep it interesting, in my opinion, for some gamers. So like the price and the value, I think, are very solid on this, and I give it high marks for that.
This is easily a 5 out of 5.
Sure.
I mean, it's almost a 6 out of 5. This game is, I mean, it's so worth the money. Like,
sure, there's a lot of bang for your buck, right?
This game
in this box.
Easily. This is a game that my wife and I play tested at a local game shop because they had like a test version sitting on the shelf that you could just play. And she stood up the second we stopped playing and she bought it at the counter. Like, 'cause she was just like, not only is it fun, but like it's that price.
Right.
Like I'm buying it right now.
Right. So there you go. So now the last category, who is this for? So player interaction, things like that. I mean, now for me, it's a little bit of a knock, because heavy gamers, Euro gamers, they're not going to have any interest, right?
Sure.
There are people that hate the randomness of dice in games.
Definitely.
They don't like the luck. Now, I've never minded that, but I came from a background of playing games with lots of dice. But you also can mitigate a lot of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can.
And this game is very accessible. This is a game like you can take to family, go to their house and play.
So you mentioned to me before filming that it has a solo mode.
Oh, yeah.
So that says a lot for its accessibility to me and who's it for, because maybe even if you don't have anyone who plays the game, you can play it.
You can still play it. Right. Yeah. And so for me, it gets pretty high marks for Who's This For, because while it does have some limitations, it's a 4 out of 5, because I have friends that will never touch this.
Sure.
But I also, most of my game groups, I could break this out for a game, and everybody's going to get through the game and have a pretty good time with it. So, for me, it's a 4 out of 5.
I got to stop letting you go first, because I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. But it's just, I have taught this game or just played this game with so many people, and I have never had someone not like it.
Sure.
Just never. Are there people that like it more than others? Sure, but I've never had someone be like, I don't know if I'll play that again. Right. It's just like, oh, that was cool. What's next?
So overall, end of the day, I will let you go first.
Overall, if I don't give it a 5, my wife's gonna kill me.
Well, you better give it a 5.
I'll give it a 4. No, if I'm going out of a 5 scale, I give this a 4.
So you wrote letters to people that if you disappear because you give this game a bad rating, that we know your wife.
There's a video that will be released
your wife
in the event of me gone missing.
That you disappeared. So 4 out of 5.
I think overall this gets a 4 out.
And I think that's where I'm at too, because even though I have my complaints, I know, well, I'm going to piggyback on you for a change.
Yeah.
That's where I'd come down, because even though I have my complaints, I know a lot of them. Some of them are my own misgivings, right? My own little hiccups about stuff. But I mean, really, this is a very good game. I've had fun every time I played it. It is different enough from Machi Koro that I think both can exist in the same space for me as a fan of both games. But so Caleb, how does this game sound to you? Does this sound like a game you would want to play?
Sure, I'd play it. Whether or not I'd buy it, well, that would be I'm a huge proponent of the kind of try before you buy model. So
sure. Well, I'm sure one day we'll make that happen then, right?
The last thing I'll say is that the main reason I think this gets a 4 out of 5 for me is that while I have some knocks, I think the game is great. I really do. I think it's really fun and great. But in the back of my head, I'm saying, what's next? I want this system again, but more advanced, better. I love this system of the rolling the dice and getting stuff on other people's turns and your turns. And I liked Machi Koro. I liked this one more, but honestly, it's mainly just because of the paper thin theme. The artwork and theme is better in this to me, even if it's nothing.
It is pasted on.
Yeah, it's totally pasted on.
And I don't care all the time about theme. I do. Theme matters to me when it matters, and I know that's maybe double talk. But some games I don't care about the theme, and some games I am I love the theme of this game. It's so intense, and stuff. And this is no theme.
Machi Koro definitely did better with the theme, right? The buildings make sense to a degree. Of, you're getting money from this building, that kind of stuff. I just think this theme is prettier and more interesting, so I like this theme more.
Sure.
Even though it makes way less, effect or sense.
Right.
But I'm waiting to see what's next. I want to see the next step in the Machi Koro space ladder.
And who knows, maybe the expansion of this does something amazing to it.
I've heard good things with it getting a story mode and stuff.
So we will revisit maybe once we play the expansion.
Yeah.
Talk about it again.
That's a good idea.
And then we drag Caleb back here after we make him play it. And then he will tell us how we're both wrong and that it is either a 7 out of 5 or maybe it is a A+. Or maybe it's an F and he hates it and we're idiots.
Yeah.
So, which is all very
either
possible.
a 7 out of 5 or an F+. There's
no
middle ground.
That's it. That's where we're at.
I say I'm a very hot or cold kind of person.
That's right, man. Well, anyways, guys, I hope we've helped. Probably not, but we're really glad to at least been able to try to talk to you about Space Base today. So for Game Twaddle, I've been Tim.
I've been Dan.
Caleb, have a nice day.
If you like what you saw,
if you want to see us make more content like this,
please hit that thumbs up.
Go ahead and subscribe.
Give us a share on social media.
Remember to ring that little bell, it really helps.
Be sure to check out our unboxing videos.
Don't forget we have reviews.
And also the news show.
Thanks for watching the Board Game Rundown.